Hey everybody, Patty Ann here. Today I'm going to show you how to get these cute little images ready in Silhouette Studio so that you can cut out these shapes and you don't have to fussy cut them with your scissors. Aren't these adorable? I'm going to make these into a little quilt. And I'm trying to figure out, I don't have that much green left, so I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to put in between these. And I was thinking maybe I could do something like this and have this embroidered out, and it's in the green so that it would kind of go like this. So anyway, I'm just thinking about what to do there, but this particular video is on how to make these files ready for cutting with your Silhouette or your Cricut machine easily. So let's get started. Okay, I'm in Silhouette Business Edition. You'll need to have the Business Edition, especially if you're saving these things for your Cricut machine, so you can save the files as SVGs. So, what you'll need to do is, this is just a picture of what it's supposed to look like. So I'm really not doing anything with this. I just wanted you to see how cute he was. So I'm going to come over here, and as you can see, these are stitch files. You can actually see the stitches, right? So let me scroll back out a little bit. What I'm going to do is start taking away the stitch files. So I'm going to take this one off, and when I drag it off, I'm just going to delete it by hitting delete on my keyboard. I'm going to get rid of this one. Delete. This one. These should be exactly the same size. Let's see. If I click on this, it says the size is 3.378 wide. Or 3.551 wide, and so this one, so they are exactly the same. So I can delete one of these. One of these I'll need to keep, because notice it's the blue that's behind the little lamb. Okay, and let's see, we can continue getting rid of some more stitches. There's a bunch of stitches. Delete the eyes, delete all of these things that look like stitches, delete. So we're going to be left with two pieces again. We'll delete one of them. And I think that there's some more stitches right here. Let's make a background or a box behind this that's darker. And I'm going to go to File and send it to the back so we can see. And yeah, there are some more stitch files. Look at these right here. So I can delete those. And then I think that's all of the stitch files. Okay, so now I can delete that background of the blue. And now we're just left with the files that we need, and these are going to be our cut files. Now, a lot of times I like to make them just a smidgen bigger if I'm doing applique, so I can highlight both of these and come over here to the offset panel that's a star with a little offset on it. I'll click on offset, and I'm going to change the offset amount to 0.03. Okay, and I'll leave that like it is. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this one, and I'm going to get rid of this single one because that was the original size. Okay. And these two I need to go ahead and say release the compound path. I'm going to get rid of the middle one. So this one's the one that's just a smidgen bigger than my original. Okay. Here we go again. We're going to get rid of the one that's the single because that's my original. I'll leave it right here. I'll grab these two and right click and say release compound path. And then I want to remove the smaller or inner one. Get it over there. And I can bring this back and see, is it just a smidgen bigger? Yeah, it's just a smidgen bigger. So that's what we want. Okay, so I can delete all of these things over here. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut these out as I've shown you how to do before. So we'll just go to Send, and here in Silhouette all I have to do is put my blue color up here in the upper right hand corner, my white here if that's what I'm going to use, and I will have taken care of the fabrics like I taught you in my previous video that I'll have linked right up here. Using both Ethereal Magic is what I like to use, and Steam a Seam Light 2. And I'll have all these things linked down below so you'll be able to look them up and see what they are. If you want to use my links, that would be fabulous. But so then I'm going to just go ahead and cut these out, and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, if you want to use these for Cricut Design Space to cut it in with your Cricut machine, what I suggest you do is grab both of these and go to File, Save Selection, save it to your hard drive. But before you save it, look and see what the width of both of these together is. Notice down here it shows us it's 7.380, or if you group them both together, you can also see up here that is the width is 7.380. So that's important. So we're going to go to File, Save Selection, save it to your hard drive, and the first thing we're going to name it is 7.380. I think that's what it was. Yeah, 7.380 sheep. We're not going to save it as a Silhouette Studio file, and this is why you need the business edition, that one-time purchase for Cricut. And you can use it for lots and lots of things for your Cricut machine. But for this, you'll need it to save it as an SVG. It's important you know the number. It won't work without that. So I will just save it, and maybe I'll save for Cricut. Okay, for Cricut. Okay. So now I'm going to go to Cricut, and I'm going to go to Upload. Let me start Cricut again. Upload, there we go. Upload an image, browse. I'm going to look for that little thing that I named for Cricut. So let's see. Oh, it was a number first, remember? Right here. So I'm going to click on that and say open. And there they come in just like this, and it says it's a cut image. So I'll upload, and there they are. Insert it. Now this is the important part, because if you'll notice, the width of this is 7.162. That will not work because it will be too small. Notice what it says up here in the upper right hand corner. Your image needs to be 7.380. So I have to have the lock locked, and I would just change this to 7.380 and hit enter. And that makes it the exact size I need. Now I can just go ahead and make it, and it's going to cut them both just like that. But of course we want them cut out of different kinds of fabric, so we will probably want to click on this and ungroup it so that I can make this one maybe the blue just so it represents it, and this one could be a gray so we can actually see it. There we go. Okay, and so then I would make it just like that, and I would follow whatever instructions I have depending on whether I have a maker or the Explore Air 2. For my Explore Air 2, I believe that this is the technique I use with the Material Magic and the Steam-A-Seam Light 2. And again, you can refer back to that video that I linked earlier. Okay, let's go back to Silhouette. Okay, as you can see, I've already placed my thumb drive in here. Now I'm going to click on this little button here to go ahead and find my image. Just hitting these arrows. Okay, and there's my little guy right there. And down here you'll notice on my mat here I have a 4x4 hoop this time. Last time when I was doing the tree on the placemats, I used a 5x7 hoop. This time I only need to use a 4x4 hoop. So I'm just going to kind of center this, and what I might as well do, I should be a little bit better than kind of centering. I can just go ahead and fold this in half, and make a little finger pressing, and then fold it in half the other way and make a little finger press. And that should help me to locate the center of this. I also have my tearaway stabilizer here. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on here. And I'm just going to kind of roughly figure out, and I'm looking here because, well, when I put this back up, when I put this in here, you'll be able to see two little marks on either side of this, and that's the centering lines. And there's a mark here and here, so you know whether you have it centered. So I'm kind of looking at those little marks, and if you really can't see them, of course, what you can do is use that pen, which I seem to have misplaced. Here it is. Use this little pen here, and when I do my little finger pressing, I can make a line here, and when I finger press the opposite way, I can make a line here. And if I wanted to be really, really accurate, I could extend these lines all the way out like this and up like this, so that I use a ruler, obviously, if I want to be really accurate. But now I can just put this in here. And again, just set this in here. And what I'm going to do is there's a little arrow on one side, which is right here. Sometimes on my other hoops, so I don't have to look so hard all the time, I just mark the top with a little red or pinkish color, and then I always know that's the top. And then again, I'm going to place this in here. So I'm looking at those registration marks that I made to see if I'm pretty much getting it centered, and it looks really good, except for one thing. It's a little too tight, so I need to loosen this first so I can get it in the hoop. Okay, that looks good. And then you just press it down in, and if it's still too tight, you know, loosen it with this little screw thing right here that allows you to loosen it so you can put thicker things into your hoop. There we go. Then you want to kind of push down on this inside one a little bit so it sort of gets recessed, so it's not going to pop out. And then once again, you can do this if you want to tighten that. You'll tighten this little screw back up, just finger tight. So then you'll put this in your machine, and it's going to stitch out where it wants you to place the first piece. So I had green in here from before when I was playing. Just leave that in there for now because it won't really show. Put this here and make sure it's clicked in. And then all I have to do is lower my presser foot, and it's going to go ahead and stitch and show me where to put that first piece, which will be the blue piece. Okay, I wanted to refresh your memory on how to use the Steam-A-Seam 2, the light Steam-A-Seam 2. I've cut off a piece roughly the size I needed. I have changed my fabric. Notice this part's kind of like paper. Can you hear that noise? This part's still real fabric-y. So that's because I used the Material Magic on here, which I think really does a wonderful job. So then I'm going to take my light Steam-A-Seam, and I take off one of these sides. Doesn't matter which one. Just discard the one that's not sticky, and the one that is sticky, you're going to place it down on your fabric like that, and then just iron it into place. Okay, after you've ironed it into place, then you can simply cut this around here and here. And this is what you'll be putting on your Cricut mat. Now, in some of my other videos, I've shown cutting through the paper, cutting through this side, but what I've found that I like to do with my Steam-A-Seam is just take this right off, which leaves the sticky side right here. Throw this piece away, and then get out my mat, and I'm just going to use my, I still have a tree on here. I'm going to use my portrait because it's so handy. I love the little portrait. Y'all, if you need a machine, grab you a portrait. I've got links for them down below. I love this little machine. It's really, like I said, handy. So I'm just going to cut this out and I'll be back. Okay, as you can hopefully see, I have this cut out on my mat. I'm taking it off carefully. Move my mat out of the way, and now I can take this out of here. I've lifted up my presser foot already. Pull this like this, remove this, and then I'm going to place this on the stitching lines. And you probably can't see those very well, but I can see them. I'm going to line this up as best I can, covering those stitching lines, my placement lines, so I know where to place this applique piece. And if I'd like to, I can take this iron and really kind of bond it into place like that. I did also change the color of my thread, although I didn't really need to for this, but I'll put this back in here now. Make sure it's in there right. And then I'm ready to begin with the next step, which will be the tacking down of that blue piece. So I just have to put down my presser foot and hit the go button. Okay, I did want to show you that these things from Creative Kiwi Embroidery, who I am not affiliated with, but I just love her stuff. She always gives you really good instructions so that you don't have to remember bit by bit. Well, right now we're on color 3, which is the placement for the body fabric. So I'm going to do that first. I'll put the placement for that, and then I'll come back again and put the body on there so that you can see that. And it gives you step by step how to do this. And the other interesting thing that she will do is this. Notice all these little animals that I've already done. So the one we're working on right now is this little guy right here. And she does tell you with Madeira what kind of color, what color number to use, but she'll also just tell you what colors. White, 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 which color thread to use for the different steps. So for example, right now we're on step number 3, and it's the placement line for the body. So we're going to use white. And since we're using white fabric, then obviously for number 4, when we stitch it down, it's going to be white. And look at the zigzag stitch. You can barely see, but that's what this is around this little lamb. That's going to be white also. And then the frame, you're going to start with brown and then dark brown. And it's just cool because she gives you really, really nice directions. So I'm going to continue on, and I'll meet you back here. Okay, here's my little lamb that's been cut out perfectly with my portrait. And again, has the light Steam-A-Seam 2 on the back, and I also used Material Magic to make it perfect like that. So now I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I line this up perfectly again. Right on top of those placement lines that were stitched. That looks perfect. And I can take my little iron, and it fits in here perfectly like that. Heat press it down. And now I'm ready to go on ahead. And I did go ahead and change the color of my thread to white. It's hard to work from the side, making sure I get that in the bracket. It's really not hard. I'm just not used to working from this side. Okay, so now I'll just put my presser foot down again and press go. Okay, that has finished, and if I look back up at my directions, you'll notice that the next step, we just did the placement line for the body, and we did the stitch down line for the body, and now it's going to zigzag the body. So this would be step number 5. And it says so right on here, 5 out of 12. So for 5, it's the white. So we can just hit go again. Now as you'll notice, the next step is going to be step number 6, and that's going to be brown. Okay, this has finished sewing, so I can say okay, and I can remove my hoop. I need to put up my presser foot and remove my hoop, and I can just take this right out. Now with my big boomer, that's what I call my other machine, that's the big one that has the really big hoops. It cuts these stitches, these jump stitches by itself. But with this little machine, you have to go through and cut the jump stitches yourself. I don't find that to be a horribly big problem. I just go ahead and cut them. Okay. All right, so there's my jump stitches all cut. And I wanted to know if you noticed that all of these pieces are exactly the same. And you may be wondering, well, how did I go from this messy thing to having all of these squares be exactly the same? Well, there's many ways you can do it, and you certainly don't need to purchase all these kind of things that I'm going to be showing, but these are just quick ways to be able to do some stuff. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to sneak under here and press this, because I forgot I need to press it first before I go ahead and cut it. And I actually could take off the tearaway stabilizer too. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing under here, but I'm just pressing this. All right. There it is, just like this. And again, I can take this tearaway stabilizer off if I'd like. And at this point, a lot of times, I like to go ahead and trim up any crazy threads that are back here. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, so the tool I'm going to use, it's not cheap, but it's really easy to use and it saves a lot of time. So what I do is, this is from Creative Grids, and it's nice because it has this stuff on the back that's sort of grippy. So when you put it here, it kind of holds on for you. So what I'm doing is I'm making sure this diagonal line goes right up through the square there, and this diagonal line goes right through the square there. And I've already predetermined that I'm going to have squares that are about, well, that are exactly 7 inches after sewing them with 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to take this little marker right here, and I'm going to mark in these final holes right here, because I know that that's where I need to mark if I'm making a 7-inch square with 1/4 inch seam allowances. Okay, so I've made those dots. And now, as I showed on my last video, what I could do is I could draw a line from here to here using a ruler, or what I can do is just go ahead and cut this. So I'm going to use my rotary cutter, which I need to get. You probably should not let your rotary cutter get like mine is. I must have nicked it on a needle or something because it jumps. So I'll show you what I mean. If I go like this and cut, you'll notice it doesn't cut all the way through everything. So I basically have to go through everything twice, and then it all cuts off. So that's a scrap. So then I can just, you know, if I had one of those spinning mats, those are pretty cool, and I do have one, but you know what, you really don't need to spend money on that. You can either just spin, well, if I had more room I could spin the mat I have, or I could just go like this and reline it up again. Okay, that looks good. Okay. Alrighty. Then turn it again. Those little rotating mats are really nice. Again, not cheap, but helpful. Okay, well, let's see now. I should have those little dots here on this side that I can line up with. Okay, one more I need to do, I think. Let's see. Okay, now. Okay, perfect. Oh, look. Hi. I. Oh, look at you, little man. How adorable is he? Oh. Okay, that completes the blocks that I've made so far. I have the pig, the little chicken, I guess, the bull, the little chick, oopsie, the cow, and the lamb. Is that 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, so far I've got 6 made. And I've got to think about what to put in between these squares because I don't think one up against another would be good. So I've got to think, do I want to make some squares like this? Is that too plain? What should I do? Have any suggestions? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear what you think. So thanks a lot for joining me. Be sure to check out my links down below for all the products that I've used today and a lot of the other products that I like. Also, you can go to my Amazon store because I have really a lot of links there and they're separated according to what kind of craft you might be working on. Remember to give me a thumbs up if you like this video and subscribe and ask questions down below. Thanks again. Bye.